Okay. So I'm going to bring back our table of impacts for everyone, and let's just start with the most impactful game. Let's start with New Jersey. New Jersey. See, look at, they're not even in New York.
It is New Jersey.
I know they're not even a New York team in my mind.
Hold on. I don't know if you guys heard this new lawsuit out. I just saw it on Twitter yesterday.
Yeah.
I shared it. I tweeted it. But
there
is a fan. I don't know if he was a New York Jets fan or a New York Giants fan. It's really not that, like, it doesn't really matter. Whoever he is or she, they're suing the New York Jets and New York Giants organization because they're actually not New York, they're New Jersey. One of the craziest, silliest lawsuits I've ever seen. But anyway, I just wanted to throw out there. It's actually
doesn't
something
surprise me for some reason.
Most weird laws and things happen because of lawsuits, right? So on our website, we do have our impact table, but another function that we always like to highlight for everyone is that it shows the starting lineups and the weather impacts by temperature, wind, precipitation, the color outlining from green to normal, caution, orange, and red, extreme. I will say, and I'll put a caveat with this being the last week of the NFL and people being benched, starting, not really knowing what they're doing depending on what teams are playing for. Our starting lineups could be a little bit tweaked because of the API we're pulling from. So just know that, but we're trying to do our best, and we'll try to update where we see fit. Luckily, there's no impacts with the Cincinnati-Cleveland game because that lineup would be completely false. So, as we said, we're going to see wind and precip at Bills. This is now just what I would say is Bills' home field advantage. Although they cannot win the weather. You'd think they would be used to it, like Mike said, but we saw in the Pats game, the whole 9-0 game. Yeah. Or was it 9 or 9?
No, there was like 14-11 or something along those lines.
14-11, yeah.
All I know is Mac Jones. This was when they were playing the Patriots, and we had 30-mile-per-hour sustained winds. One of the win ball games of the year. But all I remember is Mac Jones had three passing attempts, and the Patriots still managed to win that game. Crazy.
So Sean, walk us through what you're thinking here.
Yeah, for the Buffalo game, again, I kind of highlighted this, but one of my concerns coming in here, Josh Allen is still has a high price tag in DFS. One of the highest still price tags of the week because he's going against the New York Jets. But there's a couple concerns here. One, is he going to play the entire game? I understand they are playing for the number. They're playing for something. It's not like they've already clinched, and they have, but they're also playing for that home field advantage. So my question is, if they're too far ahead here, are they going to eventually sit some of their starters? And if they do that, obviously his upside is capped. And the other one is that, as we just mentioned, the winds are going to be really gusty here in Buffalo. And we have seen Allen struggle a little bit in weather games. If we actually go to last week and look at the Falcons game, he really struggled passing the ball. Now, he made up for it on the ground. I think he had 2 rushing TDs, and he was able to rush the ball. I think he had 15 rushes and was successful on the ground. But passing, not so much. So I am limiting my expectations a little bit here for Allen. If I'm the Buffalo Bills, I'm just trying to get out of here with a win. We did see against the Falcons, they rushed the ball for 48 times. So I'm expecting Singletary to be a benefactor in this one. I think he's going to get the volume. You're going against a dilapidated New York Jets defense. I think that they're just going to run down the clock and really focus on the running game. Now, with that being said, you can play Diggs. I mean, he is the go-to target. He had 5 targets for 52 yards in the last matchup against the Falcons. But I think you need to limit expectations a little bit with this, with the wind and the potential to maybe sitting players. Now, on the other side of the ball, it's the New York Jets, right? You're not playing Zach Wilson. You're just not a rookie QB coming into these conditions in a tough Bills home field advantage environment. You're just not playing him. So I'm not super excited really about any of the options for the Jets at this time.
Yeah, I'd like to echo on some of the players here for the Bills because in DFS lineups, this is where people are going to be targeting, right, against the New York Jets, who are typically a bottom-of-the-mill defense. In these windy games, actually, Colin and I were talking about Josh Allen, and if we think he's going to throw over or under 300 yards. And in windy games this year, he's been averaging about 258 yards per game. His yards per attempt is only at 6.4. So for me, I think that's a strong under with regards to how strong these winds are going to be. And I really like what Sean said about Devin Singletary this week. He's actually my play of the week in DFS. He's seen 20-plus rush attempts 2 out of the last 3 games, scored at least 1 touchdown in all 3 of those games, and he's averaging around 4 targets per game over the last 4 games. So on DraftKings, he's $6,000. That is such a great value against a Jets defense who's giving up the 4th most points to running backs this year. So to me, it's a no-brainer for Devin Singletary.
Yeah.
On the other hand,
go ahead.
Sean.
No, you're
I was just gonna
finish up.
I just wanted to finish up on Stephon Diggs because like he played his best game of the season against my New York Jets. Earlier this year, he had I think 13 targets, 8 catches for 162 yards and a touchdown. So people see that. People are gonna be like, "Oh, Diggs blew up the New York Jets. Let's expect it to happen again." But I am not convinced with potentially this win being such an inhibiting factor on these players, especially on the passing game of Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, it's also worth mentioning. I mean, Vegas is continually lowering the over/under on this game. I think it's at what, 40 points right now, 41 maybe.
It's at 40, and hold on, I just brought this up. It's at 40 and a half, and it opened at 45.
Yeah, so I think Vegas is starting to see, okay, well, there's the potential of some of these players maybe being sit. Weather is becoming potentially a factor here. And again, yeah, like Mike mentioned, you may be really excited to play a lot of the players for Buffalo because it's against the New York Jets. I just think, is it to say that Stephon Diggs couldn't go off for 100 yards and a TD? Absolutely. He can do that. We know he has the ability to do that. Am I siding on that statistically in this matchup with what's going on? Probably not. So if I'm going to be spending $8,000 for a wide receiver this week, it's not going to be Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, and on the Jets side, as you mentioned, it's a tough sell to really play anyone. They just lost one of their most productive wide receivers this year, Braxton Berrios. He went to the IR in my playoff matchup against Mr. Great Dane Doc himself. He went to the waiver wire and picked up Berrios, who scored a 102-yard return touchdown against me. I lost by 15 points. So I tip my hat to him to do that. But now that Berrios is on IR, Elijah Moore is not expected to come back in this game. We're going to have Crowder. So we'll have some volume there and Keenan Cole, but I'm not sold on these guys. And if I'm playing DFS, one of my targets here is the Buffalo Bills defense. Get in on them, guys. The win's going to cause Zach Wilson to throw some erroneous passes. I'm all in on the Buffalo Bills defense this week for DFS.
I couldn't agree.
Are they going to take the Belichick game plan and throw no passes?
I don't see any other team being able to do that successfully and winning the game. I'll bet all day against that.
Yeah, me the implied point total for the Jets is around maybe 10, 12 points. They're not scoring a lot of points in this one. I mean, again, the Bills are 17-point favorites, so there's just going to be limited offensive production, I think, in general.